Hi there, welcome back to another vlog. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. So back a couple of years ago, back on vlog number 5, I actually did a video about my love for Jackson guitars, and I showed my Jackson guitars collection at that time. So in that span of time, over 2 years, I've actually had almost 50,000 views of that video. So I want to thank everybody that's viewed the video, commented, liked it, greatly appreciated. So what I'm going to do today is actually do an update video of my Jackson guitars collection and where it is now, as it's changed and grown slightly. So today I'm going to show my Jackson guitars collection where it is now. All right, so the first guitar in my collection, of course, is my Jackson RR1 USA. Now, I had mentioned in the first video, this was my dream guitar. This is the guitar I always wanted to own. I still love this guitar. I still have the active blackouts, Seymour Duncan blackouts in this, but of course the value has grown quite a bit on USA Jacksons that I don't take this out of the house very often anymore. So it doesn't come out to gigs, doesn't get played as much, unfortunately, just because of the value's grown so much on these guitars. But of course I'll never part with it. This is my dream guitar, and I love this guitar so much. Plays amazing, of course. I like to keep this usually in lower tuning still, and this is definitely the ultimate metal guitar. And of course, just like I mentioned in the first video, I always wanted the white one. So this is identical to the black one, has the same Seymour Duncan blackout pickups in it. This I normally keep in a half step down tuning for some stuff I'm learning or playing. It doesn't get taken out of the house very often. Compared to the other one, I actually don't have any dings on it. I don't have any scratches. This stays in the case most of the time, and it's still mint, absolutely mint. Worth quite a bit of money. I ordered this one brand new from the factory back in 2018, and of course I'll never part with this one, just like my black one. And of course someday, maybe if I ever get into doing some international touring or something, these would be the two guitars I'd love to bring with me, but for now they just stay at home. They're kind of like my prized possession. So that's my white Jackson RR1 USA. And just like I mentioned in the first video, not my most wanted guitar I always wanted, but probably the best playing guitar I've ever owned is my USA Kelly KE2. This guitar is amazing. I love this guitar. It gets played so much. This has been sort of my main live guitar for Siren whenever we've played local shows. Just because the value of the USA Jacksons is so much, I don't take this out on the road usually. This one will kind of stay home, stay put. I have to keep a close eye on this. I'm always worried of something happening to this guitar. It sounds the best of any guitar I've ever owned, the stock JB and Jazz. I'm contemplating on switching it out and putting the active blackouts in this, but it just sounds so good. So great. I actually use this for almost all of the guitar rhythm and solos on the new Siren album, Heads or Tails. This got used for the entire album with the exception, I think, of one guitar solo. So absolutely amazing. I love this guitar. I'll never part with it. Because I won't take it out on the road, I'm definitely gonna have to use something different, but for now this is my baby. This is I love this guitar. All right, now we're going to get into something a little different, where the rest of what I had in the first video is actually changed over. None of those guitars I own anymore. So I know some people are going to say the RR24 you don't own anymore. No, I didn't. I got rid of it. I made a trade with somebody who really, really wanted it and traded me a couple of other guitars for it. So, but anyway, but obviously, the first guitar I'm going to show is actually my main guitar for Siren when we play out of town. And that's this Indonesian made Soloist SL2. So this has become sort of like my main guitar on stage with Siren when we play live out of town shows. Of course, I need a Floyd Rose. We play a lot of stuff with the Floyd. Kind of not crazy about owning black so much anymore, but you know, it gets the job done. Looks good on stage all the time. So decent quality. I'm just not the biggest fan of the Seymour Duncan distortion pickups. My preference is the JB and the Jazz, but it's a fairly decent guitar. Indonesian made. It's fairly decent quality nowadays. Not as good as USA, but hey, it's still pretty good for what you get. You get your money's worth out of it. So this is my Jackson Soloist SL2 Pro. And something a little different is that I wanted a guitar without a Floyd Rose. Now, I play a lot of Floyd Rose stuff live, but for some drop D tuning the band's been talking about doing, and sometimes I just like get that feel of something that's sort of like a single cut guitar. So I got myself this, and that was the Monarch Pro. Now, at first I wasn't crazy about this headstock. So the 3-in-3, but this kind of pointiness, but it's actually really grown on me, and I actually think it looks really good on this. At first I was kind of like meh, but I've grown to really like this. Love the locking tuners on this. Very quick string changes. It's got my preferred JB bridge pickup. It's got a 59, but I don't play the neck pickup very often, so having the JB is really good on this. But not having a Floyd Rose doesn't get played live as much, but I do bring it to a lot of siren shows, and I do play it usually for at least a couple of songs usually, and it looks great in photos. I love this coloring. And another thing is I actually really like the satin finish that this guitar has. I'd never had a guitar actually with this kind of finish, and I actually think moving forward in the future I'd prefer getting guitars with this finish, because I find I wear a lot of the, I don't have them nearby, but I wear wristbands usually because of, you know, the friction playing against, you know, especially with the glossy finishes of a lot of guitars. With this, it feels a little nicer and more natural. So I actually really like this finish, the satin finish. So, but anyway, so this is my Jackson Pro Monarch SCP. And now this guitar is something a little different. A co-worker of mine in my day job actually is a musician as well, and hit me up on this to sell it. He sold it for me dirt cheap, and he hit me up, and I'm so glad he did. I love the finish. Look at this finish on this. I love the red. Red's my favorite color. The only thing in the deal is I didn't get a bridge or a floating bridge on this. It came without one. He took the one he had in this and he put it in a different guitar. So I got it dirt cheap with no Floyd Rose. So I've actually stuck a Floyd Rose special that I had kicking around on this. But I'm definitely going to need to change this bridge because it sucks. The special, no good. I got to throw in either a 1000 or an original in this guitar, and it'll do it justice. And different, it's got the two pickups, the two singles, and it's a humbucker and a single though. They're both 59s. I took them out and I found that these are both 59s, and this is actually a distortion. This distortion sounds way better than the black Soloist I have. Actually, I used it at a couple of siren rehearsals, and the group noticed. They said this guitar sounds pretty darn good, so I think I need to get a better floating bridge on this, and it'll be much better. But I believe this would be what, an SL3, Japanese made, probably late 2000s. But this is a really nice guitar. I'm hoping to play this live sometime in the future. Maybe it'll come out for the drop D stuff we're doing if I need anything with a Floyd. We'll see what happens. But anyway, this is a Japanese Jackson Soloist. I think it's an SL3. All right, and then my last Jackson in my collection now is this one. Is a Dinky. Now, normally I don't own bolt-on neck guitars. I like the fluidity of having, nothing here in the way, but I found this one at a pawn shop for cheap. And this had the original EMG pickups in it. I yanked them out, put in my blackouts, and this has come like a lower tune guitar. It's a Jackson DKMGT, and I think it'd be from about 2008, I think I found in the catalogs. But otherwise, it's actually a pretty nice guitar. I'm not the biggest fan of rosewood fingerboards. I prefer ebony, but overall, it's pretty good. This will probably end up being used for rhythm tracking, I think, on the next Siren album, as we're talking about doing some drop D stuff. And I think for lower tuning, active pickups work really well. So, and this is an arch top too. So I really like the feel of this. It's got a few nicks, little bumps and stuff, but it's actually, I love reverse headstocks. That's another thing that I don't think none of my other Jacksons have reverse headstock. I used to have a DK Can't remember what it was, DK2 something. Anyway, that one had a reverse headstock and was a bolt-on as well. But this one I really like, and of course red's my favorite color. This finish is almost as nice as that Japanese Soloist. But so anyway, so this is my DKMGT. All right, but last is actually not a Jackson, but is definitely related, and that is my Charvel DK24. Now, I wanted something that was not quite such a metal guitar, something I could handle some other styles with, and something, I'd had a Fender Stratocaster at one time, and I wanted sort of what the best of that guitar had. And I believe I found it in this, especially having 24 frets, doing a lot of different kind of tones, not quite single coil tones, but it's kind of similar with this whole parallel series switch that this thing has. And it sounds really good. I've actually taken out the full shred and the Alnico 2 pickups that originally came in this, and I've actually got my favorite my Jazz and JB combo in this, and this guitar sounds amazing. There is a video on here of me playing and demonstrating the tone differences, and I think now this guitar sounds great. I could probably use this in Siren now. It's got that same tone that I love. Another nice thing is I do like locking tuners when I have a guitar without a Floyd Rose. I think it's really useful, especially if you're going to need to do a quick string change. So anyway, so this is my DK24, and that's my current Jackson guitars collection. Will I own more? Probably. I love owning guitars. I do have other brands other than Jackson, but of course the majority of what I do have are Jacksons and a Charvel. So, but anyway, till next time, shred on. Take care.